And welcome back to Newsmax Now. Let's take a look at some of the other stories that are making headlines today. Friends and family gathered in Ohio this morning to say goodbye to Otto Warmbier. The 22-year-old U.S. student died earlier this week. Warmbier had been in a coma-like state for more than a year. After being detained in North Korea, the parents refused to have an autopsy. North Korea, meanwhile, is attacking the president, calling him a psychopath. The state newspaper says South Korea must realize that following Trump will lead to a disaster. The U.S. president blamed the brutal regime for the death of 22-year-old U.S. student Otto Warmbier. Michael Brown's family settles the wrongful death lawsuit they filed against the city of Ferguson. The family claimed that the police culture of pervasive hostility towards African Americans led to their son's death back in 2014. Terms of the settlement weren't released. And authorities say a 10-year-old boy died after Tropical Storm Cindy made landfall in Alabama. The child was on vacation with his family when he was hit by a log. Officials say the storm will move into Arkansas and Tennessee by tomorrow. Meteorologists have already downgraded that storm to a tropical depression. Yeah, isn't that a sight? Injured Capitol Police officer Crystal Griner throws out the first pitch at the annual congressional softball game. Griner is recovering from a gunshot wound after being shot at a GOP baseball practice last week. So good to see that. Great news, great news. And Scalise is now in fair condition. He's texting. So happy to hear all that. All right, now that you're all up to date, let's bring back in Freedom Watch founder Larry Klayman. Larry is also a former federal prosecutor, and we appreciate you sticking around. We didn't get a chance, and I'm sorry, we were running out of time. Clock gets you every time. So we were talking about O.J. Simpson. He's up for parole in July. Gloria was saying, and obviously she's represented Nicole Brown's family, saying that she hopes he doesn't get parole, but I wanted you to get a chance to respond to that as well.
Well, I understand the emotion here, and I understand how Gloria feels, but the reality is you have to look at it in terms of the case that he was convicted of. And he essentially was convicted of trying to, quote, steal back property he already owned. Now, he went in there with a gun, and that's why he got what he got. But it was payback for what happened in his acquittal, you know, in the criminal case against Nicole Simpson. So I understand how Gloria feels, but the reality is if you just look at it in the prism of that case, he's already done too much time, and he should get parole.
All right, well, we'll see what happens. Again, that's happening in July, that hearing. All right, let's talk about the very latest with the Senate health care bill. That measure was finally revealed today by Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. He says lawmakers will have plenty of time to review the bill, and he expects the Congressional Budget Office to release a score next week.
After that, we will proceed with a robust debate and an open amendment process here on the Senate floor, a process that I would encourage each of our 100 senators to participate in. When legislation does come to the floor, it will present Senate Democrats with another opportunity to do what's right for the American people. They can choose to keep standing by as their failing law continues to collapse and hurt more Americans. But I hope they will join us instead to bring relief to the families who've struggled under Obamacare for far too long.
But Kentucky Senator Rand Paul says he and 3 other Republicans are now opposing that bill. Didn't take long. The other 3 are Texas Senator Ted Cruz, Utah Senator Mike Lee, and Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson. They all say that they are open to negotiations to improve the bill. As it currently stands, the GOP can only afford to lose 2 yes votes. So they have 52-48 majority right now. Senator Ted Cruz says, you know, as I mentioned, he's open to negotiations. Here's what he had to say.
We can get this done. We can get to yes, but the key to getting it done, to getting to yes, is we need common sense reforms that lower the cost of premiums so that health insurance is more affordable for families who are struggling.
All right, so let's talk more about what's actually inside this bill. The measure would end penalties for people who don't buy insurance. Several GOP senators said they expect a slower phase out of Obamacare's Medicaid expansion than the House. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says this is just a discussion draft, giving both moderates and conservatives time to just kind of iron out those differences in the bill. Larry, just first off, before we get into why people don't like it, Just your overall thoughts to this bill.
Well, first of all, if Republicans don't pass something, okay, they're going to collapse, okay, with their own constituency. That's their biggest problem, because they've been promising this now for almost a decade, and if they can't come through, they're going to lose their so-called base.
Right.
So, but I do commend McConnell for doing this. I don't think there was anything wrong, as we said yesterday. And
yeah, you said it was good that he did it behind closed doors.
Yeah, because there's too much politics up there, and there's too much competition between senators. But the fact that Cruz and the others are opposing the bill now, that's bargaining. They're going to get something in exchange. Either they get it with the health care bill or something else they want. That's the way it works, this negotiation on Capitol Hill. It will pass because the Republicans have no choice.
Why do you think, though, they were so quick to do that and to do it so publicly rather than just going up to McConnell himself?
Ego. I mean, you've got a lot of ego on Capitol Hill. You know, one time I ran for the Senate here in Florida, and
it's because you have a healthy ego? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I used to say I don't want to be part of the Senate club. I want to take a club to the Senate.
Okay. But, that's catchy. I like that.
It's catchy, but the reality here is that they're a little pompous up there, and they really have broken away from the American people. They think about themselves before they think about the American people, and in this case, they've got to do something. This bill is collapsing. It would actually be better for them politically, in some respects, if they allowed Obamacare to collapse, because they could blame it on Obama.
Right.
But in this case, I give them credit. They're doing the right thing, and it will pass, and they will lose a lot of their own supporters, not all of them, if it doesn't, because they look like hypocrites if they simply cave in.
All right. Well, earlier today, President Trump called on Senate Democrats to work with Republicans on health care.
We're putting in a plan today that's going to be negotiated. We'd love to have some Democrat support, but they're obstructionists. They'll never support. We won't get one, no matter how good it is, but we will hopefully get something done, and it'll be something with heart and very meaningful.
That doesn't appear very likely, at least right now. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer took to the House floor earlier to quickly criticize the new health care bill.
This is a bill designed to strip away health care benefits and protections from Americans who need it most in order to give a tax break to the folks who need it least. The president said the Senate bill needed heart. The way this bill cuts health care is heartless. The president said the House bill was mean. The Senate bill may be meaner.
Now, despite the strong condemnation from Senator Schumer, former House Speaker Newt Gingrich says he wouldn't be surprised if a few Democrats actually crossed the aisle and voted for the health care bill.
I think, for example, in the Senate, I wouldn't be shocked, because Mitch McConnell is such a great leader, to see 2 or 3 Democrats from very heavily Trump states, a North Dakota, a Missouri, a Montana,
West
an
Virginia.
Indiana, maybe make a decision they're going to vote for West Virginia. That some of those may decide they want to vote for the health bill because they don't want to go home as an anti-Trump, bitter end liberal.
So there you have it, though. It's very key here. It's not just any Democrats. Democrats in states where President won. What do you think of the former House Speaker saying that it's possible that these Democrats will actually vote for this health care bill?
I think it's possible. Yeah, I agree with that. And what you saw with Schumer there was predictable. He probably wrote his speech before the bill was even released. I mean, the guy's negative about everything. And frankly, what's the alternative? I am a Florida citizen, and I had Cigna insurance, do a commercial for Cigna. They pulled out of Florida. I lost my insurance just last year. So, you know, and I'm a sophisticated person, I hope. I'll let you judge that.
Extremely sophisticated.
But I didn't even know it happened. Cigna never even told me it happened, and they pulled out of Florida.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare, and
but the big thing is Medicaid, right? I mean, that's a big issue, and a lot of Democrats have been saying, you know, if you just want to completely repeal it, we're just not interested whatsoever. So it's like no one's willing to budge there, and you're not going to get conservatives on the other side that are going to say, oh, yeah, we'll work with you.
Well, Democrats have already won, because they have this health care bill as Obamacare. It's now going to be morphing into the American Health Care Act. Once you get these entitlements, they never go away. You know, it's like a disease, and it's just simply out there forever. And this bill is diseased. It's dying. And these people that he's talking about, Schumer, that are going to be hurt, they're going to be hurt if they do nothing. So something will happen.
Something will happen. We're just going to have to wait and see. We'll keep you posted. All right. Meanwhile, Several Democrats have expressed some frustration, as you know, with Nancy Pelosi in light of the Democrats losing that Georgia special election earlier this week.
I think across the board in the Democratic Party, we need new leadership.
You think Nancy Pelosi is more toxic than Donald Trump?
You know what? The honest answer is, in some areas of the country, yes, she is. That's the honest answer.
Nancy Pelosi was a great speaker. She is a great leader, but her time has come and gone. Yes, she's a great fundraiser, but if the money that we are raising with her through her leadership is not helping us win elections, then we have to have this difficult conversation now.
Now here's Nancy Pelosi from earlier today defending herself.
I feel very confident in the support that I have in my caucus. We have harmony, but it doesn't always mean we have unanimity. They go after the most effective leaders because they want to take us, diminish the opportunity that we have. They will always make a target. Senator Reid was a target. Senator Daschle was a target. Tip O'Neill was a target. I am a target. We don't agonize, we organize.
All right, the current Democratic leaders have been in Washington for a while, quite a while, in various roles. House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi, in case you were wondering, she's been in Congress for nearly 30 years. House Minority Whip Steny Hoyer, he's been there since 1981. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer took over for Harry Reid this year, but he first got to Washington in 1981. And the Senate Minority Whip Dick Durbin, he got the role in 2015, but he was sent to D.C. as a congressman from Illinois way back in 1983. So all four of them have been in our nation's capital for at least 30 years. Do you think that the Democrats need a change in leadership, change of the guard, if you will?
I think they do. I think the Republicans do, too, to some extent, although I do think Mitch McConnell's doing well lately. But it's a little bit like Jurassic Park. There are a lot of people out there that maybe should retire there. They've been there too long. They're part of this Washington swamp.
Are you referring to them as dinosaurs?
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe T-Rex.
T-Rex? Ooh.
She's like a T-Rex. She should be more like a Brontosaurus and, you know, kind of cuddly. Maybe it'll help.
Maybe. Okay. Well, we'll have to see what happens. Okay. Well, we know at least one person who thinks Nancy Pelosi should stick around, besides herself, of course. She says she's worth the trouble. But the president tweeted this today. I certainly hope the Democrats do not force Nancy P. out. That would be very bad for the Republican Party. And please let crying Chuck stay. Yeah. So we've said you think they should, but the question is, will they? Will they dump Nancy Pelosi?
I think they're going to get to that point shortly. And Gingrich should know because he was dumped by his own party, Gingrich, who we had on earlier. And the president knows that as well. Now, I think Gingrich has been doing some good things lately in terms of his commentary. But he was a negative force as Speaker of the House. And in fact, he could have impeached and convicted Bill Clinton, but they took the most minor charge and dealt with Monica Lewinsky. There were many other scandals, and I was involved at the time with Chinagate, Filegate, everything. So yes, your time comes and goes. It shouldn't be forever. Nothing lasts forever, except for true love.
We'll see about the true love. Okay, I think I know which movie. Princess Bride?
Maybe. Yeah.
Such the same sense of humor. All right. So while some Democrats point the finger at Congressman Nancy Pelosi for John Ossoff's loss in Georgia, President Trump focused on the mainstream media. Here he is talking about some of the coverage during the Georgia special election last night during a rally in Iowa.
Had our wonderful candidate lost, this would have been one of the great big stories in the history of American politics. Those studios would have been up for weeks. They would have been talking for weeks about this tremendous defeat. And after it said projected winner was they just slinked out of there.
Just kind of slinked right out of there, according to the president. Yesterday, we shared that viral meme. You remember that?
Yeah.
Of the CNN anchor, in case you missed it. Looking stunned, disappointed following that special election. But in all seriousness, do you think the mainstream media plays favorites? And I already know what your answer is going to be.
Oh, well, it's obvious. I mean, frankly, I don't watch CNN anymore. I can't. I do watch it because I want to see what they're saying.
But, you're one of those. Okay.
Yeah, but
then how do you know if you don't watch it?
I want to know what the opposition's saying, but it's beyond the pale, and the president's absolutely right. We have a task force at Freedom Watch called the Leftist Media Strike Force, trying to keep them honest. And that's not to say that the right doesn't sometimes, Fox sometimes fudges things a little bit, but It's beyond the pale. CNN, MSNBC, the president's right on that.
All right, we unfortunately are out of time, but it's not like true love. We got to go. It doesn't last forever.
There's always next time.
There's always next time. Larry, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it. All right, we still want to hear from you. What do you think about the Senate's health care bill? Do you think that the new measures are heartful or heartless? Send us your thoughts now. Email us at newsmaxnow@newsmaxtv.com or send us a tweet at newsmaxnow. The president likes to tweet. Maybe you want to tweet us. We'll air some of your comments shortly, right after the break.